The salt-laced wind, a familiar spirit to Kenamon the trader, still clung to his travel-stained cloak as his sturdy barge, laden with fragrant resins and Red Sea pearls, nosed into the familiar landing at Wasset, the vibrant heart of Upper Egypt. Yet the usual activity of the docks, the boisterous greetings, the swift bartering, the laughter of children, was unnervingly muted, replaced by an oppressive hush that coiled around the sun-baked wharves like a serpent of ill omen. Kenamon, a man whose life was etched in the lines of maps and the rhythms of far-flung ports, felt a chill creep beneath his weathered skin. His usual trading partners, the skilled ceramicists whose vibrant blue pots and figurines were coveted even in distant cities, were absent. Instead, he saw drawn faces, figures moving with a languid, unnatural slowness. A wasting affliction, a rare disease settled upon the artisan quarter, a creeping fatigue that stole strength from limbs and clarity from minds, leaving vibrant workshops echoing with a disquieting silence. The local healers, wise in the lore of river herbs and desert blooms, shook their heads, their remedies proving as futile as whispers against a storm. Days bled into weeks, and the shadow over Wasset deepened. Kenamon, his own trade routes stalled, watched with growing unease. One night he walked in the cool of the evening with his many thoughts. The river water was calm. His rugged but beautiful trade boat, made of papyrus and reed, bobbed gently under the ancient moon. Its vivid blue and white sail rippled gently under the breeze, despite being tied down for harbor. Kenamon climbed in his vessel and sat down, looking through a bag of trades he had made weeks prior. An old mariner's log was in his possession, a trade made with another traveler along the way. Lighting a small oil lamp, he wrestled with ancient texts by the flickering light. A forgotten passage, dismissed as fanciful tales, snagged his weary mind. It spoke of the wedge-ware, the great green of the restless Red Sea, resilient fronds that clung to rocks amidst crashing waves, consumed by coastal dwellers when famine bit or strange maladies struck. His eyes brightened as he read. Now, with every known remedy failing, the sea's wild whisper held a desperate allure that was worth discovering. Though he did not know the location of this mystical coastal cove, his memory remembered a similar place of his trade. Before the sun even kissed the bay, Kenamon set out in his boat. The journey to the coastline was fraught with peril. Rugged, untamed waters fought him as he emerged from the safety of the great Nile into the merciless sea. Large swells battered his small vessel, and even sights of what seemed to be giant sea serpents slithering through the distant waters sent chills into Kenamon's bones. But through it all, he knew where he was going. In all of Kenamon's travels, he had memory of a small fishing village who gathered the salty weeds of the sea. Finally, the coastline from his memories came into view. Below, clinging to the rocks like emerald ribbons, was the seaweed, undulating with the rhythm of the waves. Kenamon's journey was successful as he voyaged back to the Wasset dock. With hair and clothing wind-blown and damp, he grabbed his sack of seaweed and hurried into the village. It was always a possibility that he would be scoffed at for suggesting such a remedy, but Kenamon knew it was worth the risk. As he entered the dwelling of his trade companion, Pentu, his eyes saddened as he watched the plight of a young apprentice, Amini, whose nimble fingers once danced life into clay, but now shook with unease. The boy, son of his oldest trading associate, Pentu, looked pale. Perspiration covered his face. In seeing this, Kenamon was beyond the bounds of polite suggestion. He sought out Pentu, whose own hands now trembled too much to shape the clay. "Respected Pentu," Kenamon began, his voice earnest, "in my travels I have seen a remedy from the sea itself. They call it wedgeware." Skepticism, cold and hard, met his words. "The sea, trader?" We are children of the Nile. What nourishment can its bitter waters offer that our blessed river does not provide tenfold? Pentu's voice was raspy with fatigue and despair. Other artisans murmured agreement, their fear of the unknown warring with their dwindling hope. It is different. The people of the coast, they swear by its strength-giving properties when all else fails. What have we to lose when the shadows lengthen so? Pentu, his face a mask of grief and reluctant hope, looked at his son's sickly face. He breathed out with exhaustion and finally conceded. "Let us try your seaweeds, Kenamon, for the boy, for all of us." With meticulous care learned from distant observation, Kenamon showed them how to prepare the seaweed, rinsing away the excess salt, simmering it gently until it softened, its oceanic aroma a strange, new scent in the Theban air. The first broth was offered to Amoni, his lips barely parting. The community watched, a silent congregation holding its breath, the fate of their craft, their kin, hanging in an unseen balance. Then slowly, very slowly, a change began, a flicker of awareness in Amoni's eyes. A day later, he asked for water. Then, a touch more broth. Other afflicted artisans, seeing this fragile dawn, cautiously partook. The wedge weir, with its hidden wealth of minerals from the untamed sea, began its quiet work. It was not magic, but the resilient power of nature, observed by one who roamed beyond the familiar. Weeks later, the rhythmic tap of the potter's tools, the cheerful banter of creation, once more echoed through the artisan quarter of Wasit. The sculptures and pots were bountiful once again. Kenamon, his barges finally laden with the coveted blue pottery, smiled. He had traded not just goods, but a whisper of distant wisdom, a humble weed from the ocean's edge that had brought a tide of life back to the heart of Egypt. The sea's strange bounty, carried by a traveler's hand, had become a thread in the vibrant tapestry of their survival. Now, if you don't have time to voyage with Kenamon, sailing the Egyptian sea, battling harsh waves and sea serpents along the way, you can try Ocean Treasure instead. Packed with 9 varieties of nutritious seaweed that have been carefully harvested from pristine ocean waters, you too can join ancient Egypt in the goodness of the sea. Visit sea2sell.com today to get yours.